Documentary title: Fortress America, The Architecture of Absolute Paranoia. Chapter 1. The concept of absolute security. Imagine driving down an unmarked, dusty gravel road in the middle of a desolate American desert. There are no fences. There are no stone walls or towering watchtowers. There is only a small, simple sign planted in the dry earth. It reads, in stark, bold lettering, "Use of lethal force authorized." You might think it is a scare tactic, a bluff designed to keep curious tourists from wandering too far into the wilderness. But as you look closer through the heat haze, you notice a white pickup truck idling silently on a distant ridge. The men inside are wearing unmarked camouflage, their eyes locked onto your vehicle through high-powered binoculars. They are not local police. They are not private security guards. They are highly trained tactical operatives with the legal authority to end your life the exact second your tires cross an invisible line in the dirt. This is the reality of America's most guarded spaces. It is a world where trespassers are not read their rights, where electronic eyes track your heartbeat from miles away, and where billions of dollars are spent to ensure that what happens inside stays hidden forever. But why does a nation that prides itself on freedom and openness possess the most impenetrable, heavily armed fortresses on the face of the earth? What are they protecting that is so valuable, so dangerous, or so terrifying that it requires the deployment of military divisions, blast doors carved into solid mountains, and automated weapon systems? From the concrete vaults buried beneath the bustling streets of Manhattan to the secret tunnels bored deep into the granite mountains of Colorado, America has constructed an invisible empire of absolute security. These hidden structures protect the country's deepest military secrets, its vast reserves of physical wealth, and the existential infrastructure required to ensure the survival of the government during a total global apocalypse. As we peel back the layers of myth, technology, and sheer military might, we will discover that these places are not just physical buildings. They are monuments to America's deepest vulnerabilities and its most profound fears. You are about to step inside the most guarded places in America. Chapter 2. Fort Knox, the golden standard of security. To understand how America perfected the art of the fortress, we must journey back to a time of global instability and economic desperation. The year was 1936. The world was sliding rapidly toward the chaos of the Second World War, and the United States government was quietly executing one of the largest consolidations of wealth in human history. Under Executive Order 6102, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt had effectively banned the private ownership of gold coins, bullion, and certificates, forcing citizens to sell their gold back to the Federal Reserve. The government suddenly found itself flooded with mountains of precious metal, and they needed a place to hide it. A place so secure, so isolated from the coastlines, and so intensely fortified that no invading foreign army or mastermind criminal syndicate could ever hope to touch it. They chose a patch of flat land tucked safely behind the rolling hills of Kentucky, right next to an active military base. They called it the United States Bullion Depository, known to the world simply as Fort Knox. But how do you build an architectural structure that can withstand the concentrated fury of an entire mechanized army? You begin with raw mass. The outer walls of Fort Knox are constructed of solid granite, lined with layers of reinforced concrete, and backed by a dense lattice of structural steel. The building is designed to function like an armored tank sitting stationary in the mud. It is entirely self-contained, built to deflect artillery shells, aerial bombardments, and the brute force impact of modern explosives. Yet, the true genius of Fort Knox lies not in its external walls, but in the nesting doll of security features hidden deep within its core. To even reach the perimeter of the building, a visitor must navigate an active military installation. But let us imagine an impossible scenario. Let us imagine that a highly organized force manages to bypass the outer checkpoints. They find themselves facing the central vault door. This door is a masterwork of mid-century industrial engineering. It is made of a proprietary, drill-proof, torch-proof steel composite alloy, measuring over 2 feet thick and weighing a staggering 20 tons. No single human being knows how to open this door. The security system relies on a mathematical concept known as split knowledge. The complex combinations required to unlock the mechanism are divided among several high-ranking officials based inside the depository. No individual possesses the complete sequence. They must each enter their specific, highly classified portion of the code in a precise chronological order to release the locking bolts. If one person is missing, if one person is compromised, or if the sequence is entered out of order by even a few seconds, the vault remains a completely dead, impenetrable block of metal. And what if an intruder attempts to bypass the door entirely by tunneling beneath the foundation? The engineers of the 1930s anticipated this exact vulnerability. The vault structure is entirely detached from the outer walls of the building, resting on a massive, independent foundation of concrete and steel. Beneath this foundation lies a sophisticated matrix of acoustic sensors and seismic detectors. The moment a drill bit or an explosive charge makes contact with the outer earth, the vibrations trigger a systemic, automated lockdown. The entire lower levels can be flooded with lethal, pressurized gas, or filled completely with water drawn from hidden reservoirs, drowning any subterranean intruders before they can even catch a glimpse of the gold. Yet, the physical structure of the depository is only the final line of defense. The real security of Fort Knox is the overwhelming, terrifying display of military power that surrounds it. The depository sits directly within the boundaries of the Fort Knox Army Post, an active military installation spanning over 100,000 acres. This is not a base staffed by administrative personnel. It is the historic home of the American Armor Branch. Surrounding the gold vault are regiments of heavily armed troops, columns of M1 Abrams main battle tanks, and squadrons of Apache attack helicopters standing on 24-hour alert. The fields surrounding the facility are rumored to be laced with sophisticated minefields, backed by thermal imaging cameras that can detect the body heat of a stray rabbit from miles away. Over the decades, Fort Knox has transformed from a mere gold vault into a powerful cultural myth. It is the ultimate symbol of safety, a place so secure that it has inspired countless Hollywood heist movies and conspiracy theories. People whisper that the gold is no longer there, that the vaults are empty, or that they contain dark secrets of a completely different nature. But the government maintains its absolute silence, refusing public tours and keeping the inner workings of the facility shrouded in total secrecy. Why? Because Fort Knox is not just guarding a collection of metal bars. It is guarding the psychological foundation of the global financial system. The mere idea that this place is unattackable is what gives the American dollar its power. To compromise Fort Knox would be to compromise the illusion of absolute stability. Chapter 3, Area 51 and the Nevada National Security Site. If Fort Knox is a monument to visible, overwhelming physical power, our next location is a masterclass in the terrifying art of psychological warfare and total informational erasure. To find it, we must travel to the scorched, cracked earth of southern Nevada, to a dry lake bed known as Groom Lake. To the rest of the world, this place has a name that evokes images of late-night talk shows, alien autopsies, and science fiction lore. Area 51. But if you look at an official government map from the late 20th century, you will find nothing but a blank space. A deliberate geographic void. For decades, the United States government refused to even acknowledge that this place existed, deleting it from public records, blocking satellite imagery, and creating a perimeter of secrecy so intense that it altered the very geography of the American West. But why go to such extreme lengths to protect a patch of barren desert? The answer lies not in outer space, but in the highly classified world of black-budget military aviation. During the height of the Cold War, the CIA needed a completely isolated, invisible testing ground to develop the U-2 spy plane, the State Route 71 Blackbird, and the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter. These projects were so sensitive that their discovery by Soviet satellites would have instantly shifted the global balance of power. The solution was to create a security perimeter that was completely unique. A perimeter that didn't rely on walls, but on total environmental control and psychological intimidation. When you approach the borders of Area 51 today, you will notice something peculiar. There are no towering concrete barriers. There are no rows of barbed wire fences stretching across the desert. The boundary is completely invisible, defined only by those small orange and black signs warning that trespassers face immediate arrest, massive fines, and the distinct possibility of being shot on sight. This open design is a deliberate psychological trap. It forces you to look at an empty landscape, wondering exactly where the line is, and more importantly, who is watching you. The answer to that question is simple. Everyone is watching you. The moment your vehicle approaches within 5 miles of the restricted airspace border, you have already triggered a massive, interconnected net of hidden surveillance technology. Buried beneath the desert gravel are thousands of highly sensitive magnetic ground sensors. These are not commercial motion detectors. They are military-grade devices designed to detect the specific weight and seismic signature of a moving automobile or a walking human being. They can differentiate between the heavy, rhythmic tread of an elk and the deliberate, cautious footsteps of a human trespasser. The moment a sensor is tripped, an automated signal is beamed directly to a central operations center inside the base, pinpointing your exact coordinates on a digital map. As you look up at the surrounding mountain ridges, such as Tikaboo Peak, you are being tracked by long-range thermal imaging systems and ultra-high-resolution optical cameras. These cameras can read the license plate of a vehicle from miles away in total pitch-black darkness. And then there are the camo dudes. This is the colloquial term coined by UFO researchers to describe the private, heavily armed security contractors who patrol the perimeter 24 hours a day, operating in unmarked, high-performance four-wheel drive trucks. These men sit motionless on the high ridges, silhouetted against the desert sky. They wear sterile camouflage uniforms with no insignia, no name tags, and no patches indicating which branch of the military or private corporation they belong to. They do not talk to you. They do not answer questions. They sit, they watch, and they wait for the exact moment you make a mistake.